welcome. Thanks for joining us for the Customer Success Zone interview. So first, would love to get a sense of, who you are, your role at your institution, and sort of how you're interacting with feedback and surveys day to day, week to week.
Great, thank you for having me. My name is Tridip, part of the Monash University Malaysia team in the Vice President Education portfolio. I'm currently the Director of Education and Training Academy. So was involved with Blue, I would say, Blue ML and Millie back in the day, I think 2023. That was our gateway to Explorance products. Of course, Monash as a university is an Australian university, and we've been with Blue for 10 years, I think now. So we've got different types of institutional surveys. We have an end of semester survey where we were already using Blue for several years. And then when we started an early semester survey, somewhere within week 4 or 5 of our semester, that's when we were using a custom-built, a homegrown kind of platform that our students created. And then we were using it for a while, and then we realized that as we are scaling, maybe it's important to think about data security and sustainability of the project. And that's where we got in touch with Explorance to explore Blue. And because our educators were already, and students were familiar with doing the survey on Blue, I think it made sense that we went with Blue as well for our survey. And of course, we've been using Millie User for a while, and that's been a great experience for us, trying to get the analysis done, and especially important for us because ours is an early semester survey. So we want actionable feedback to be actioned on within the semester. And in the past, we were just sitting on this huge loads of data, very rich data, which we couldn't do much about because by the time we had research assistants transcribe all that data or, do a thematic analysis of that data, the time has passed. It's 1.5 years down the line. With Millie, what we've been able to do is then within the semester, find out things that are working well, things that are not so well and require some improvement, and these very quick actions that our educators could take. And we could also then create a support system to support our educators on how would those fixes be implemented. Yeah, that's where I think it's been really exciting for us to use Millie and the whole Blue ecosystem.
Wow, super exciting. Lots of really great initiatives. I'm curious if we could just stay on Millie and the qualitative analysis part for another couple minutes.
Sure.
So what sorts of insights are you extracting from the data specifically, examples at a high level, and then, how does that inform next steps at Monash, right? So walk me through a little bit of this sort of beginning to end qualitative analysis happens, then the insights come. What are those insights and what happens after?
Right, so I think Millie slices and dices the data in various ways. We, of course, looking at some themes are more important to us than the others. For example, teaching experience or the learning experience of our students. And what does that mean in terms of some of these low-hanging fruits like technology use? For example, a recurring theme post-COVID since we transitioned from physical lectures to pre-recorded lectures and bite-sized lecture videos. So students were giving us a lot of feedback on, let's say, the quality of the audio is not that great, or the videos are just like hour-long lectures, which are not really chunked. And, it's very hard to stay engaged with such long videos. So what we were able to do then is comb through this qualitative data, see if this was a recurring pattern that we are seeing. And then the university decided, okay, let's do something about it. Then we onboarded staff on how do you make nice chunked videos. And then we invested on a micro studio where staff could go in and record their videos. So not just thinking about, okay, something's wrong, go and fix it, but how do you build a support ecosystem so that staff have access to it and could actually do something about it. Another example was recently we had a huge Moodle redesign at Monash University because we realized students were having non-uniform experiences. They go into one side, assessment is here, and you go into another side, oh, that's a learning outcomes tab, not an assessments tab. So it took a while for students to find where all this resources and information is. So we wanted to see all that work we have done in, making things uniform and the student experience a little bit more seamless. Did that show up in student comments? Is that something that students care about, that this experience we've worked on? So we were looking for these clues in the qualitative data that was coming through. And that would enable us then to find out, okay, there are some accessibility issues in these units, or maybe the color schemes that educators, highlighting in yellow and then in blue and with red text is not great for some of our students. So something we could do. So these are just a couple of examples of how we are looking at the data. And we look at, whole range of data from the educators that are in the classroom. Sometimes the alerts come in handy, looking at harmful comments from educators' perspective and also from students' perspective. So lots of good things that are there. Recommendations, I think, is quite useful as well. Do more of this, maybe stop doing that, and we take all of that on board. But of course, there's as much you can do within a semester. So some of these are micro changes that can be done within the semester. And then there are some long-term changes that we action on throughout the semester or the years to come by.
Right. Really great examples, and I think showcases exactly what you just said, changes that you can action on right away, the sort of quick win, quick fix type stuff, and then longer term. When you're looking in the longer term, are there goals that Monash is setting for, okay, here's how we want to use the insights that are coming out of Blue and Millie, and is there a way that you've also evolved the usage of your Explorance solution to help you sort of meet those goals and meet more of those student needs over time?
Yeah, of course, as an institution, of course, you've got your educational priorities, and we try to see the kind of questions we ask our students are also aligned to these priorities, and we change up. We have a set of core questions, and then we have some priority questions where we probe students on some of these new things that we've done. So we're always checking or looking out for signals based off of these priorities that we're focused on. But of course, there's things that we hadn't thought about, but students are telling us. And then that also becomes a priority that we look at. And that helps us shape, what our future strategies as a university in terms of educational initiatives or direction would look like. So we've got a great team in a unit called Education Excellence, and they've got a team of education designers and education technologists who go into these websites. And I think, as Summer has mentioned, not just looking at one source of data. So they're also looking at things that are showing up on our LMS or on forums or other forms of feedback that we have at the university. What are students saying about it, and what are we doing in response to that? We're trying to make that feedback loop a little bit more closed. We realized that we were doing a lot of things, and we know we were doing a lot of things. We were hoping that students were seeing that we were doing a lot of things, but I think we were not doing a great job in communicating back to students that we hear you, we see you, and these are the things that we're doing. So recently what we've started doing is also publishing some high-level changes that the university's done in response to student feedback, just so that they know that we know what they're experiencing. Yeah. I don't know if that answers what
No, it actually it was a fantastic answer to the question. And the closing the feedback loop, it's something that has been discussed in passing, but I'm really glad that one of our guests here at the Success Zone has highlighted, because it's super important.
Yeah.
Not for a lack of aptitude or effort or anything, but looking ahead to the future, is there anything that Monash maybe isn't doing at present that you're looking ahead and saying, okay, I really want to start maybe leveraging this feature more, or I want to start, really focusing on this type of initiative down the road?
I think higher education as a sector is facing a lot of issues or challenges, I would say, at the moment. Two of them that come to mind, of course, has been talked about a lot, is in terms of artificial intelligence, and the other one is English as second language students. We've got diverse groups of students, and I just don't want to focus on English as second language students. Just the diverse range of students that we have in our universities. I think a lot of the structures of universities in terms of curriculum is sort of made for a specific group in mind. And then there are students who are not in this set, and then they sort of feel that they're left out, on not being heard, or not seen. So we're trying to do a lot more in terms of inclusive education. That's one of the priorities, and we are using Millie and Blue products and our survey instrument to see how we are going down on this path and what could we be doing better, and looking at what are the bigger groups that we need to focus on in the short term, and sort of covering the spectrum as we go down the road. Yeah.
I mean, it's exciting, right? And it's forward thinking too, as you pointed out, what the future of the sector is going to look like, right?
Right.
So there's been a great conversation. The last question I have, we're ending it sort of, really focused on Explorance World, right? So you said, was it your first Explorance World?
This is my first Explorance World.
So I'm even more curious to know this question. What's been your favorite part of the conference so far, and what are you most looking forward to as we go through the end of the event, and maybe what are you looking to get out of it?
Right. I think my biggest takeaway from Explorance World, I've attended the APEC sessions in the past, and what I felt especially in Australia, and Monash being an Australian institution, the way we do surveys is more centralized, whereas here I'm hearing a lot more decentralized surveys, and I understand there's merits of both. So hearing those perspectives on how people are using decentralized surveys and why they're doing it, and what happens after the survey closes, and with all that data, that's been really an eye-opener. And then the cool thing that Explorance World has, which wasn't there in other APEC ones that I've attended, was direct access to the people behind the products. So if I have a question or a recommendation or something that I've been thinking about, and getting to talk to people who actually make those parts of the product has been really cool. So you get a sneak peek of what's going on in the background. So I feel a lot closer to the product coming to Explorance World, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's great that you've been able to connect on that level and interact with our staff, and I'm hearing a lot of great things about that aspect of Explorance World.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great place to leave it. Tridip, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you very much for having me.